If Backrooms is your current hyperfixation like it is mine, we are going to be reading books that give backroom energy this week, and I could not be more excited about it. The new movie came out, Backrooms. I saw it, I absolutely loved it. I'm a longtime fan of the Backrooms. I have been playing the Backrooms video games for a couple years now, and I first got into them watching streams on Twitch, and I just love liminal spaces. Like, I didn't know that liminal space core was a thing, and now it's becoming more and more popular, and I'm so excited about it. If you haven't seen the Backrooms movie yet, highly recommend. It's kind of like psychological thriller kooky crazy. If you have no idea what Backrooms are, I will give a very generalized definition of it, but I'm gonna also pop up some pictures because it's basically liminal space core. It's these spaces that like feel like they go on forever, like time doesn't touch them. Backrooms is supposed to be like you permeate this barrier, like you go through into this like new area. Like, imagine in your house you went through like a closet and there was a door, and it opened to like all of these rooms that you never saw in your house before, and then you just spend time like wandering and wandering. They're very maze-like. It sort of gives you like an unsettling feeling, but it also gives you this feeling like nostalgia, like you may have been in this room before even though you haven't. So recently my algorithm has been feeding me more and more like Backrooms coded stuff, and I'm so grateful for that. And I found 2 reading lists, which I will leave linked down below. I found them on Instagram, and so I will give credit to those creators. They are doing God's work for me, and I am going to pick whatever books I can get my hands on, mostly through the library, or if I need to purchase like an ebook or something, I will. The first list that I found is from @thriller.reader on Instagram, and then the second one is from Druzy Veins. I don't know if that's how you say their name, but I will leave it on screen and, like I said, linked down below. So I was able to get my hands on a couple of these books. Let's get started with our first book. I'm gonna read a little bit more before we do our first official update. Welcome to the Backrooms vlog.
Was a sailor boy from Honolulu town. He just left his sweetheart, his homeward.
I'm really hoping you can't hear my fan in the background, but I guess we'll find out when I'm editing this footage. We need to do a check-in for I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. We are a little over 30%, like just barely over 30% in this book. I wanted to give summary and initial thoughts. So far, I would say that this book tracks pretty well for being Backrooms adjacent because of the feeling and the mood and like the psychological suspense of it all. I feel like it really fits the tone of the Backrooms. So this book is mysterious. We're following this couple. They're in the car. They're driving on this long journey to go to visit her boyfriend's parents' house. The setting of this book being in the car on a long journey, I wouldn't think it would give like liminal space, but there's nothing around them. He lives like in the middle of nowhere. There's just like fields and cornfields, a lot of farmland. They're driving on a road where there's very few cars. It's kind of giving liminal space. And also when you're in a car for so long, it has this sense of timelessness, and they're just able to talk about a lot of things. In the summary of this book, it says, this deeply scary and intensely unnerving novel follows a couple in the midst of a twisted unraveling of darkest unease. That's like pretty much all we know. There's a lot of flashbacks to memories, and then there's flashes of them in the car talking about things. They're going through a lot of stories, so I feel like we get to know our characters quite well as they're reminiscing or bringing relevant stories into the conversation that they're talking about. And they're talking about a lot of big life concepts of like the human experience. It's interesting because you don't think like you're just in the car, but it is tense. And you have this like uneasiness of like, where are we going? And our main character is our girl. And actually, do we know her name? I'm not sure that we do because it's told in first person, but her boyfriend's name is Jake. I don't know if we know her name, but it's almost like she is not in control of the situation because she's the passenger in this car. She doesn't know where they're going. She obviously has trust for her boyfriend because they've been in a relationship for quite some time, and he is driving her to meet his parents. But we're getting these flashes like at the end of the, I'll call them chapters, although this is the start of a new chapter. It doesn't have any numbers, it doesn't have any chapter titles. My Kindle seems to just be breaking it into chapters, but I don't know if you could actually say that this book has chapters because they're not marked, which might bother some people. But it's a fairly short book. I think it's only like 230 pages. Yeah, so it's definitely a short book. So having no chapters doesn't really bother me too much. But it makes me feel nervous for her because she's like not in control of the situation, and it's starting to feel weird because they're so isolated with like no other people around them. There's a lot of really amazing quotes so far. I've definitely been highlighting quite a few things. Also, so far, as far as we know, the reader, this title of I'm thinking of ending things is referring to our main character deciding whether or not she wants to end the relationship that she has with her boyfriend. Maybe it means something different. I guess we'll find out as we continue reading. In space, everything has its relative position. Space is an entity, right? But also limitless. It's less dense the farther you go out, but you can always keep going. There's no definitive border between the start and the end. We'll never fully understand or know it. We can't. That feels very Backrooms to me. They're like, there's no start and end to it. It's endless. Giving Backrooms. I feel like this is my thesis of like why this is Backrooms related. That was Jake speaking, and then our main character says, I'm glad we don't know everything. You're glad that we don't know all the answers, that we can't explain it all, like space. Maybe we're not supposed to know all the answers. Questions are good. They're better than answers. If you want to know more about life, how we work, how we progress, it's questions that are important. That's what pushes and stretches our intellect. I think questions make us feel less lonely and more connected. It's not always about knowing. I appreciate not knowing. Not knowing is human. That's how it should be. Like space. It's unsolvable and it's dark, I say, but not entirely. I like it. I like the writing style. Finished I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Holy moly. I knew that things were going to get crazy when the last like chapter that my Kindle had pulled up was 58 minutes. I had some thoughts from like when I first started the book, and then the little like glimpses that we were getting at the end of each chapter, like those really got my head thinking in the right direction. I was not expecting that ending to play out the way that it did at all. I really want to watch the movie because I'm wondering how that's even going to be portrayed. I'm very curious. I might watch that tonight with Ross if he is down to watch something a little bit creepy. Enjoyment level is probably like a 4-star. It just feels so mind game, crazy. I would definitely read more books from Ian Reid. What a great book. Very Backrooms. Like, I can't say that enough. I feel like it really captured the mood of Backrooms. I don't know what my next book is gonna be. I'm gonna look through the recommended reading lists and see what's like available to me. Also, I'm doing the Amazing Readathon right now, which is a competitive team-based readathon. I'm the co-host for Team Geronimo. It was created and is hosted by Bree from 4 Paws in a Book. I'll leave the announcement video down below if you'd like to join us. It's going for the whole month of June. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a book that aligns with another prompt, and we'll take it from there. quite a few reading updates to catch up on. So it took me a little bit to decide on what my next book was going to be. After we finished I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I did take a little bit of a break, ate stuff, watched TV, and then I was like, let me look through my library holds, see what sounds good. And The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson was one of my library holds. And then I saw it was only 39 pages. So I was like, okay, let me try like a couple of pages of this and see if we want it to be our next book. And I read the whole thing. Given it took me like 30 minutes to read the short story. This one I was very intrigued about, especially in comparison to like the Backrooms, because the wallpaper is the Backrooms wallpaper. So it really just like hit a chord with me. Like that's like the most classic level 0. When people think of Backrooms, they think of that like really off-putting yellow / beige carpeted wallpapered room with hallways, right? This was really fun. I ended up giving it 3 stars because it's a short story. I feel like maybe if it was longer, there could have been more done with it. It could have been more fleshed out, but for a short story that was like 40 pages long, depending on the edition that you get, some I think are like 64 pages long, you know, that's really quite short. It was a vibe. I mean, it was written originally in the late 1800s, 1892. I need to correct myself. The Yellow Wallpaper is written by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I don't know why on my Goodreads it's saying Charlotte Perkins Stetson. Being lied to, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, correction. It's regarded as an important early work of American feminist literature for its depiction of the attitudes towards the mental and physical health of women in the 19th century. It's also lauded as an excellent work of Gothic and horror fiction. Actually, I didn't realize the Gothic piece, which is really funny because I've been doing a personal curriculum that I really haven't returned to since like January, February of this year, but I've been doing a personal curriculum of Gothic literature. This one was not included, but I was very happy to have stumbled upon it. We're following a woman who is diagnosed by her physician, who's also her husband, so he has complete control over her life. She's diagnosed with temporary nervous depression and a slight hysterical tendency after the birth of their child. So she's urged to rest at this old like summer home that they've rented for 3 months, and her husband is insistent that she has to stay in this room that has this awful, floral, disgusting, tepid, off-putting yellow color. I think that she says that the carpets are beige as well. And he doesn't let her leave this room really. Like she can go outside and she can go for walks in the garden, but she requests to move rooms. She's like, can I stay downstairs? Like after a couple nights in the room, she's like, please just let me go into a different room of the house. And he's like, no, I think that this one's really good for you. It has bright colors. It has windows. You'll get like fresh air. And he really just doesn't give her an option to do anything else, which is really concerning. So it was thought that she was putting too much like stress on herself and she had to let her body and her mind rest. But this forced like boredom and isolation that her husband is making her adhere to as her like prescription for her depression and for her hysteria, she starts hyperfixating on this wallpaper because there was nothing else in the room to look at, which I don't blame a girl. She starts like hallucinating and having this like weird interaction with the wallpaper, I guess we'll say. Listen, I love a story where a woman just loses her mind a little bit. I thought it was a little bit repetitive even for like the 40 pages that it was, but it did a good job communicating the message and I really liked the message of the story. So I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't anything that like wowed the socks off of me, but I thought it was a good fun time and definitely very Backrooms oriented. If you want like a quick read that you can literally sit down and read in 30 minutes, it was really fantastic. And then this book scared me because of the page length. The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. I also didn't realize at first glance that this was published in 2025, so it has some relevant like societal things that have been going on in the world, which I don't really love to read because it just like breaks the immersion of being in a book and escaping the scariness of real life, but some of that is represented in this book. But it called to me because we're following this group of friends. As teens, 5 of them went into the woods. They found this staircase that went to nothing. One of their friends went up the staircase, never came back down. So 5 teenage friends went into the woods, only 4 came out. We catch up with these characters way later in life. They're adults. They've all kind of went their separate ways. Losing their friend also really broke their friendship quite a bit as well. So they really don't get along at this point, but one of their friends, Nick, has cancer. They have really not kept in touch with each other. Nick emails them all and says, hey, I have cancer and I would like for us all to get together one last time. Meet me in New Hampshire. I've attached your plane tickets. Just all come and we can be together. And so they all go with the intention of trying to find like maybe a happier conclusion to their friendship. I don't think the expectation is for them all to be besties again, but when they get there, Nick has bamboozled them a little bit and he takes them into the woods. He says that they're going camping and he ends up bringing them to a second staircase that appeared in the woods with the intention of fixing what happened in their past. They had this covenant to all protect each other, and they broke that covenant when they let their friend disappear into the ether after going up this random staircase in the woods. It sounds creepy. It sounds like it plays with memories. I can see the parallels to Backrooms, sort of.
About this in my June reset vlog. I'll leave it here. But one of my goals is to pay more attention to how I plate things when I eat them. But also my goal for the second half of 2026, which I just recently like readjusted and refreshed my goals. I guess I call them like snackable plates. They're almost like girl dinner, but I'm not just having them for dinner. I either make them for breakfast or lunch. Actually, I need to figure out how I could do this for dinner as well. But you just saw, we just made our lunch plate for today. I feel like I see plates like this all over Pinterest. I want to start doing this. I also feel like it makes my plate look so much more fun to like eat off of. And I like to make sure that there's a bunch of different like ranges of colors on the plate. If I don't pay attention to it, like I will just eat like bread and mac and cheese and like chicken. And that's it, and it's all plain and it's all the same color and stuff. So I feel like making plates like this, I make sure I have like red and green for a vegetable. I try to have a protein, and normally I would put eggs on my toast, but I really don't feel like cooking eggs right now. So I figured we have peanut butter, which counts as a protein, and it just helps me be more mindful that number one, I'm eating my fruits and veggies that I buy, and I want to eat them before they go bad. And number two, it makes it more fun. So many food things. I'm clearly really hungry. I need to go back upstairs, get back to work because it's Sunday and I've just logged into work. We read quite a few chapters on sprints for the staircase book. I'm gonna refill my water, and then once I drink this whole thing of water, we're going to get our Alani for the day because I've had 2 coffees and like 2 sips of water. So go team vegetables and go team water. I left my camera down here so that when I had finished my water, I could come back down and get an Alani and check in with you that we did finish our first water. We just refilled her, but we get to reward ourselves. Apologies for a ton of updates right in a row, but leg 3 of the amazing readathon just dropped and I wasn't able to finish my book in time. And that hasn't happened to me yet. We read a little bit more on our lunch break. We got to 30% in the staircase in the woods. It's dragging a little bit for me. 31%. We got to chapter 24. I just feel like we've had so much exposition and we've had so much of getting to know our group of characters, but only a couple of them. Like, we've really honed in on Owen and Lore the most. Maddie is kind of floating around because he had close relationships, and like Maddie and Owen were both into Lore, and so
they just have like drama going on. I feel like for not learning about all of the characters in this friend group in equal measure, we've done so much just like hanging out with them, and like nothing has happened yet. Like, you're telling me you've introduced me to two, count them, two staircases in the woods, and like nothing has happened yet. We're having a better time with Staircase in the Woods. I'm happy to report. We made it to the 50% mark, actually just over the 50% mark last night. Today, for whatever reason, words are really difficult for me, so if we stumble through this reading update, I'm really sorry. I feel like the first 30% I was starting to struggle. We just get so much background information. And like, due to the way that the story is framed, where not only do we have a big group of friends, right? There's 5 of them. So we had to like learn about what was going on with them, their relationships with each other. And we're flipping between 2 timelines. We had to learn what happened in their past in the 90s with like the first staircase in order to catch up with them where we meet them now in like 2025 and learn what's happening with this second staircase. So like there was a lot to establish for the story, but I was starting to get bored. I'm happy that I pushed through the 50% mark. I'm having a really wonderful time with it now. It's definitely very Backrooms. It's so interesting because I feel like the books that we've read have been quite different from each other, but they all give Backrooms in a different way. And there's like so many more books on this like these Backrooms reading lists that now I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to keep reading. I'm trying to decide whether or not I have time to squeeze in like one more Backrooms book into this vlog. This next week for the Amazing Readathon, I'm gonna focus on reading all LGBTQ books, and I'm like really excited to do that. So I think Staircase in the Woods might be our last Backrooms book. We have some very important book mail to open. We actually ordered these together last vlog in my June reset vlog. We picked our Aardvark book club books together, and we got 2 because I didn't realize that I had some extra credits to use, which is literally so fun. So we went for, I love both of these covers very, very much, Girls Girl by Sonia Feldman. This is a coming of age lit fic that follows a group of friends, I think 3 friends, a sun-drenched and dewy snapshot of modern girl culture set in the blaze of one suburban Midwest summer. Nina is our main character. Her whole world is her 2 best friends. But after an unexpected kiss, the established dynamics of their trio quickly unravel. We also have, our second choice is Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim. This is a speculative fiction slash sci-fi that sounded so intriguing, and then on the website it said there was going to be a like TV or movie coming out. In this world, when you immigrate, you leave a copy of yourself behind, which is called an instance of yourself. One person enters their new country and the other stays in their previous country. So some instances keep in touch, call each other daily, keep their lives and minds in sync in the hopes of reintegrating, resuming life as one person. Others, like So Young Rose King, leave home at 10 years old, never speak to their other selves again. Rose in America never imagined going back to Korea until her grandfather died, and her Korean instance, So Young, called her home for the funeral. Oh my god, that's so cute. This one, I love this bookmark. It's so freaking cute. I'm using this. Besties, I have a super fun The Amazing Readathon hint to share with you all. As of the last check, Team Geronimo has submitted almost
500 books, which is so amazing considering today is June 9th and Brie sent me that hint on June 6th. So we're readers. Whatever team you're on, I hope that you are having the absolute most fun with the amazing readathon. And Brie has done such an amazing job with these prompts, with all of the twists and turns and challenges that we're doing. It has been so much freaking fun. We have just finished The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. This was a bit of an up and down journey for me. I wasn't sure if I was gonna finish it. I had many moments where I was like, this is dragging and I really don't know if I want to continue. And then there would be like a glimpse of a moment and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm back in this. And then it would drag again. So I feel like the idea and the story were very interesting. The characters were very interesting. I think it was the pacing that was off so much for me. Like I really had moments trying to figure out what is it, the disconnect for me, because conceptually this is fascinating. What was happening was fascinating, but there were just times that got so repetitive, and like it's tough because I feel like having a couple stories that are Backrooms adjacent, I realize now that repetitiveness comes with the territory because you're talking about this infinite maze that plays with like portals, but it plays with memories, it plays with time loops, and so there's going to be an aspect of repetitiveness. But this book being almost 400 pages, we were constantly like in the group of friends like questioning what to do, and then even like the directions of what they were doing, I highlighted a couple examples. I was like, did we need to hear this multiple times? Like we got it the first time. It would be like, this place can't be infinite, this place can't be infinite, no, this place is infinite, and then it would like hit them. Or it would be like, in terms of almost like stage directions of like, the characters decided to walk through the door, and then like the next chapter would start and it'd be like, the characters decided to walk through the door and they entered through the door and then the door closed. And I was like, why do we need 8,000 sentences about them choosing to walk through one singular door and then like the door closing behind them? And it had already happened so many times before that I was like, do we need to reestablish what's going on? So it's tough because I understand the cyclical. I just feel like if the story had been shorter, I would have enjoyed it more. So I'm thinking it's still probably like a 3-star. If I wanted to be really nitpicky, I would probably give it like a 2.5 just because the writing style wasn't my favorite. But there was something really fascinating at the end of this book when we were on reading sprints for the Amazing Readathon and I was talking about reading this book. I brought up actually like where I grew up in Massachusetts, which was really close to like southern New Hampshire. The author at the end is talking about what inspired him to write this book, and he said he was at a book event in Concord, New Hampshire, Gibson's, and he said that he was plotting a book on a staircase in the woods, and one of the attendees said, there's a staircase in the woods not far from here. And he's talking about how a staircase in the woods phenomenon is like something that's, I don't want to say real, but like if you go to look up lore about it online, there's like a bunch of staircases in the woods. And the reason why this book really called to me was because I grew up on this lore of a staircase he mentions he was inspired by. It's a staircase that's in southern New Hampshire. So the staircase in question is the ruins of Madame Chery's castle. Long story short is that a costume designer from New York made Madame Antoinette Chery thought to build an extravagant party castle tucked into the southwest corner of New Hampshire. Except the money ran out. She abandoned the project. The castle fell to ruin. A fire eventually claimed it, and the staircase remains. I will pop up a picture if I can find one. The staircase is really creepy. And I grew up, like, a bunch of my friends and stuff, especially in high school, they'd be like, oh my god, we're gonna go to the crazy creepy staircase. And it was like a thing. An interesting concept to me because it spoke to me about something that I was like creeped out about as a kid. I do actually have a couple other Backrooms books that I really want to read, so I'm just going to mention them here. If you've read them, please let me know how you liked them because I do want to get to them eventually, but we're going to end the vlog here because I really want to switch to reading some LGBTQ books for Pride Month, and also the Amazing Readathon celebrates LGBTQ. It's a prompt for us to read. I'm not going to say this title correctly. I just know that I'm not. Coup de Grace. It's by Sophia
Adram. This is supposed to be like a super duper Backrooms book. It's also shorter. I feel like shorter Backrooms books might speak to me a little bit more because the others that we read in this vlog were on the shorter side and I really enjoyed them. This book is 140 pages. Yeah, it's super short. It's a mind-bending, visceral, experimental horror about a young man trapped in an infinite Montreal subway station. Determined to find his way out again, he starts to explore rooms, corridors ahead of them, but no matter how many claustrophobic hallways or vast cathedral-esque rooms he passes through, the exit is nowhere in sight. I heard that this book has comparisons to Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's called The Hike by Drew Magary, and so I ended up buying this ebook, so I do want to get to it. Perfect for fans of Matt Dinniman's Dungeon Crawler Carl series, a fantasy saga unlike any you've read before, weaving elements of folktales and video games into a riveting, unforgettable adventure of what a man will endure to return to his family. Ben is a suburban family man. He takes a business trip to rural Pennsylvania. He decides to spend the afternoon before his dinner meeting on a short hike. And once he sets out into the woods, he quickly realizes that the path he has chosen cannot be given up easily, and he has no choice but to move forward. He finds himself falling deeper and deeper into a world of man-eating giants, bizarre demons, colossal insects. On a quest of epic life or death proportions, Ben finds help in some of the most unexpected forms, including a profane crustacean, and a variety of magical objects, tools, and potions. Desperate to return back to his family, Ben is determined to track down the producer, the creator of this world in which he's being held hostage, and the only one who can free him from this path. So that sounds so intriguing to me because of the DCC comparison. Thank you for watching, friends. If you've made it this far, leave the ugliest yellow emoji you can find to represent the ugly yellow wallpaper of the Backrooms. I will catch you in the comments and I'll see you in my next one very soon. Toodles!